In March 2020, as shelter-in-place orders took hold in Oregon, Scott Kerman had a choice. The executive director of Blanchet House could shutter the doors of his essential services nonprofit or find a way forward. For Scott, there was no question. They had to keep serving their community. To friends and colleagues, Scott's decision to keep Blanchet House open was courageous, but not surprising. A man for others in the truest sense, Scott has spent his life using his head, heart, and hands to recognize and protect the dignity of the most vulnerable. Raised in the Bay Area, Scott's Catholic mother Joanne and Jewish father Alan taught him to be generous, care for others, and open himself to new ideas. But it was Junipero Serra High School where he discovered the intellectual rigor he needed to thrive. The Catholic school sharpened his work ethic and sparked his interest in teaching. In 1985, Scott moved a few miles south to attend the University of Santa Clara. He excelled academically while finding plenty of outlets for fun, including rollerblading through the Mission Gardens, joining speech and debate team, and DJing an early morning campus radio show. And the Broncos he met during those years remain among his closest friends. One of those Broncos, roommate Jim Boberschmidt, inspired Scott to join SCAP, the Santa Clara Community Action Program. By senior year, Scott was volunteering regularly for an adult literacy program and tutoring fellow students. He knew he had a knack for teaching, but with his degree in hand and a top-notch LSAT score, he enrolled at the University of Virginia School of Law. There, his aptitude for critical thinking grew, as did his passion for serving others. With help from a classmate, Scott founded Action for Better Living, a community service program for law students modeled after SCAP that still exists today. Scott returned to California as a summer intern at the Berkeley Community Law Center, where he helped his poor and unsheltered clients gain access to food stamps, legal services, and fair housing. He relished the experience, knowing his work was making a difference one person at a time. But Scott didn't want to practice law. While waiting in the dentist's office, he read about Teach for America. The recently created nonprofit placed top college graduates in the country's most disadvantaged schools. Immediately, he knew he wanted to join and became the first law school grad to enter the program. On the second day of training, he met his future wife, Jill Speaker. Their connection was instant, and together they headed to rural North Carolina. Scott taught in a segregated middle school where gang violence and poverty were daily realities. Yet he loved being in the classroom and working with students who needed someone in their corner. Following Teach for America, the couple relocated to Houston, where Jill earned her medical degree. From there, they followed Jill's career, moving their growing family from Texas to Massachusetts to Washington and, finally, to Oregon. In 2001, Scott was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Though it's been a difficult journey, Scott has quietly persevered and flourished despite his unseen disability. He helped raise their 3 children, Jared, Ethan, and Chase, earned 2 more degrees, and taught at numerous public and private schools. By 2019, the Kerman family was firmly rooted in Portland. Scott, in a nod to his time in Berkeley, applied for an opening at Blanchet House and was soon hired as executive director. Located in the heart of Old Town, Blanchet House focuses on restoring hope and dignity for those it serves: the fragile, the chronically homeless, the severely addicted, and the mentally ill. At its soup kitchen, meals are prepared by chefs and served to guests at seated tables.
Scott's very compassionate. I think he understands that the people we're serving are really in crisis and they need unjudgmental, unconditional support in those moments.
The role tested Scott's limits while showcasing his leadership, intellect, and compassion for others.
He's always been an excellent communicator. The humorous, intelligent, and compassionate way he can speak to issues of homelessness allows people to clearly understand the injustice and inequity.
Just as Scott was settling into his new position, COVID-19 stay-at-home orders were issued. Nonprofits and businesses across the city closed, everywhere except Blanchet House. Scott and his team literally transformed the soup kitchen overnight, closing the seated cafe and packaging food to go. Soon, Blanchet was serving 2,000 meals a day, twice as many as it had just weeks prior. As the food lines grew, so did Scott's responsibilities. He consistently found ways to motivate his staff, secure volunteers, raise funds, source ingredients, manage crowds, and, most importantly, tend to those in need.
We experienced in Portland this life-threatening heat wave. What Scott did was he jumped in our van with another staff member and got thousands of bottles of water and drove around during, 108-degree temperatures and going tent to tent, handing out water and checking in on people. And I thought, that's not in the job description.
Takeaway food service continued uninterrupted for 25 months before diners returned indoors. Through it all, Scott led with creativity, grace, and empathy.
During the most turbulent time in Portland's history, Scott was able to keep not only the doors open at Blanchet House, but to expand their services. Not only did they survive the pandemic, but they thrived.
Today, Scott is driving innovative solutions to some of Portland's most complex problems. He recently convinced the county to invest more than $1 million to establish a new program in partnership with 5 other agencies. Scott is also leading a $9 million capital campaign to build a new Blanchet addiction recovery facility. A humble hero in the best of the Ignatian tradition, Scott Kerman models the way for all of us, working tirelessly to lift up those who have been left behind.
I'd like to say on behalf of Blanchet House staff, congratulations on this award, and it's well-deserved. And you've made a profound impact on our community and our entire team here at Blanchet House.
I'm just thrilled that we're recognizing Scott. I think he is such a great example of Ignatian values and a truly humble person who would never seek out recognition.
Scott, I'm honored to have the opportunity to tell you that there are many people here this evening who have been positively impacted by your many gifts, your kindness, and your friendship. Thank you. Personally, I'm grateful for knowing you all these years, and quite frankly, my college and life journey would have been much different without your presence. Congratulations to you and Jill with your family, and for being honored in a special way this evening.
You're an example for a guy like me who always looks to another human being trying to live the best they can. And I know your world includes not just the incarcerated and the addicted and the poor and the homeless, but a wonderful family who you cherish and all your many friends. So that's an inspiration for me to be around. And by watching your life, I understand better what it means to be a good Samaritan and what it means to be a living bridge for those who need to get from one tough spot to the next spot in their life so they can grow. You're an inspiration for me in that way.
For his compassionate dedication, servant leadership, and endless empathy, the Alumni Association is proud to honor Scott Kerman with the 2024 Ignatian Award.